Let's hope this new microphone doesn't ruin everything, because I don't have enough time to film this twice. Hello everyone, welcome to Room and Board. My name's Chris George, and today we have another Monday morning. And you know what that means. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. No jokes. No jokes for you today. I'm in a pretty good mood today. I mean, yeah, my weekend, it was pretty chill. You know, I didn't quite get up to...
Hey there, hot stuff. You left your spectacles at my place last night.
Maggie, I'm filming.
Well, just, thanks for the games last night, then.
Okay,
I had a devilishly good time.
I know what you mean.
What I mean.
I had a great time playing Massive Darkness 2 last night. No, that's not a euphemism for anything. I just was trying to pick a game that had devil in it so that it wouldn't...
Devilish dice!
Yeah. That's what I was trying to avoid. There's a reason why she's worked her way into my heart. Well, now that we have our Maggie quota of the week, honestly, I was just missing her over the other unsavory characters that tend to drop by. I guess we can get into the games, but first, shout out to my newest patrons, Dan and Gary. And be quiet, Duolingo. No, I will not learn my Japanese today. Anyway, Dan and Gary, thank you so much for jumping on board and supporting the channel. It really means a heck of a lot to me. And both of you are fantastic. So much better than those other jokers from last week, you know? You two, you're the real deal. I mean, I'm kidding. Thank you to everyone, always and forever. I love having such an amazing community to hang out with and talk to, and it's just great. If you are able to financially support the channel, even just a couple bucks, 25 cents a video, like the low-rate gumball machine of a person that I am. I know I already used that joke in a previous video, but I don't care. It's the funniest thing I could think of again. Like a marked down version, a 50% off version of 50 cent. It does really go a long way. But enough of that. Enough of the pitches. Let's get into the games. Our 551st campaign covered on Crowdfunding Countdown since its inception. That's true. It's been about 10 months of Crowdfunding Countdown every Monday morning. And in that time, I've looked through 550 campaigns, read through probably 530 rulebooks, I'm estimating, because not all the campaigns are real, you know. Some of them are just plain jokes. And some weren't board games, they were board game bordering, or whatever the term is. But as I was scrolling through GameFound to see if they were hiding any more campaigns from me, I noticed, and I thought it was really cool, that I knew almost literally every single campaign that was going on, and I just thought that was a really cool feeling, other than the RPGs that I don't cover. And so that made me go back through all my scripts and lists and notes and think that there should be an easy way to see past coverage, if there is past coverage. And so I compiled a Crowdfunding Countdown master list, which will be in the description for all Crowdfunding Countdown videos from here on out. So if you're ever looking at a pledge manager or campaign and you want to find out the particular episode where I looked at it and covered it and gave the brief breakdown or whatever, had a couple laughs, relived the experience, well, then you can check that out. And then I figured, well, now it's all in a spreadsheet, I might as well add it up. I know you can look at the numbers on the side, but I put in some spaces. So I think it's 550, and that was kind of cool. Here's to the next 550, and then I stop. Then it's over. Then I've hit my limit. Anyway, let's kick off this week right off the bat with Knightmare Chess. And this is a chess variant by Steve Jackson Games. And I first heard of this, I think, through Shut Up and Sit Down. And I thought it was very intriguing. Basically, you're going to have a whole bunch of cards, like 160 cards if you get all the Knightmare Chess. And you create a deck of 150 points, because each card has a point value. It's a very simple deck construction, and then you draw 5 cards, and you can generally play it instead of your turn or after your turn, depending on the card. So some examples are just place a pawn in the middle 4 squares. Let any piece move as if it was a knight for 1 turn, but it can't capture a piece. Or turn any knight into a super knight, a paladin, so that it takes 2 moves of L shapes. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. I quite enjoy chess. I still enjoy chess. I played an awesome game of chess the other night. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. It was his birthday. And so we, of course, decided to play a 3.5-hour game of chess where I made a mistake and got a do-over, and he made a mistake and got a do-over. And then finally he made another mistake and I was able to take the win. Although I feel most proud of a sneaky little pawn play that I got to do, which then when I moved my knight, his rook was dead. It couldn't go anywhere. He didn't see it coming. I was able to capture his rook and took off from there. And I think the joy of chess and the benefit of chess is that it is perfect information. You know how all the pieces move. All that remains is for you to outmaneuver your opponent. So to have things that are added into it that disrupt that, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I do like that it seems as though there won't be any gotcha moments, which the same can't be said for the finale of F-Boy Island, let me tell you. But I like that. Chess isn't about surprise attacks. Chess is about careful planning and maneuvering, and it seems like all these cards will add interesting wrenches into the mix without necessarily disrupting the spirit of the game. I might be a bit too much of a purist to actually be interested in it, or just don't play that much chess as it is, so why would I play a variant when I want to play chess? I want to play the real thing. But I do like the innovation behind this, and I think it's a cool thing to take an existing game, one that is so widely recognized, and then make something new out of it. I think that's cool. And speaking of making something new, the only way they're able to put it on Kickstarter is if they include a booklet of Knightmare Chess articles. And I don't see how anyone is buying it on Kickstarter when they literally have a link to their website that says, oh yeah, you can actually buy it on our website for cheaper. Basically just using Kickstarter as a promotional tool and then directing people to the website anyway. But I guess it has to be more expensive because you're adding on that never-before-seen thing that now Kickstarter requires from most of its backers unless they're going to be spending $100 million or something. So it's $34.95 if you want to get it and you get it from their website. And you don't order it through Kickstarter because it doesn't even ship to anywhere outside the States. Or you get a PDF for $5, but don't let that fool you. That's actually just a PDF of these useless articles and not of the actual cards and gameplay that you're probably interested in. But if you are interested and if you have a fondness for this, it has now been reprinted. I know it was hard to find for a long time. So check it out. That is Tuesday at 5 p.m. The Kickstarter finishes. Or literally any time you go to their website. Now, next up we have Waste Knights Beyond the Horizon. It's an expansion for Waste Knights which came out a little while ago. And Waste Knights is this post-apocalyptic survival and exploration game set in dystopian Australia. Move over, Mad Max. Waste Knights is coming for your post-apocalyptic Australian title. I mean, the art here is incredible. If I were to back a game just based on a video, this is likely one of those things that I would back. The videos just keep on getting more and more exciting. So put your faith in old Wet Mop Chris to dampen your enthusiasm. Now the base game, if you've never heard of it, and really this is all I can tell you about this expansion because they don't have a rulebook for the expansion. They just have an outline on the page, and likely if you own Waste Knights, you know if you trust the team and you want more of that world and that exploration world. But to give everybody who hasn't heard of Waste Knights just the brief overview, you're going to pick a character, a vehicle, some items, some stats, you know, the character stuff. Different character stuff than you normally see on this channel. But the usual for games where you have a character. And so you're going to have this big post-apocalyptic map. And on your turn, you can do 2 actions, and those actions can relate to the plot or the scenario that you are pursuing, or they can be your standard actions like move, or explore, or move. That's pretty much it. Sorry, I forgot the all-important camping, which is just rest, you know, make sure you don't die. A built-in refresh action so that it can be a survival game. And so you are going to be exploring this wasteland and drawing event cards and interacting with the different terrain that's on the map, and then also consulting this big book of narrative text, which will give you little choose your own adventure bits, and you'll see how you interact and you'll go back and forth. And it gives you this narrative element without needing it to be an actual campaign, which is refreshing nowadays. And this game really reminds me a lot of The Witcher. If you were interested in The Witcher, it feels like it'll give me that similar vibe. There's not as much emphasis on killing the monsters, but the same sort of exploration campaign style that's not a campaign game, aka a narrative game. Stupid! And to be fair, this one is going to be more focused around making tests or skill checks than The Witcher would be, but it's just a feeling, a sense that I got from reading through both of their rulebooks. As for the expansion, well, it's like I said, they give you a blurb on the campaign page and that's about it. There are many islands past Australia that you now can go out and explore. And you get 3 different new characters. You actually get 5 if you back it at the Kickstarter now. And just more exploration, more stories to read, more of what you liked if you liked Waste Knights. So the expansion is €55 or $72 Canadian. But what's really cool, and this is something that you don't see actually in a lot of campaigns nowadays, there are so many more people who are opting for that expansion than their big package, which costs €180 or $242 Canadian. And while that's an outrageous price point, people tend to want to purchase it. People often feel like they need to purchase everything if they're going to jump into a game with an expansion, which is ludicrous, but that's how it is. And I think it really is worth noting that there are so many people who are returning to get the expansion, and that I think speaks to the quality of the first game. I think that's a definite bar that you should watch for, and it's cool that that happens. Or it could just be that I can purchase Waste Knights at my local store for $80 Canadian instead of the 92 Canadian plus €30 in shipping that they're asking for with their add-on. I mean, shipping's bad across the board. If you're getting anything, it's bad, unless you live in Poland. So call up your nice Polish grandmothers and send it their way, and then pick it up when you visit them. Anyway, if you are interested in that, that finishes Wednesday, May 18th at 10 a.m. And speaking of 2 actions each, next up we have Minotaur, an 8-bit cooperative dungeon crawler, where the dungeon is constantly rearranging itself, and you can attack the Minotaur and kill the Minotaur, but the Minotaur will be revived over and over again until you finally collect the 3 seals to seal it away forever. What is this? My ex-wife? Anyway, there's always going to be this 3x3 grid of dungeon, and whenever you go off one side of it, either up or down or left or right, you remove the opposite side of the 3 cards and you draw 3 new cards. So then even if you were to go back to that other side, probably wouldn't, a whole new dungeon rearrangement would happen. And so you take your 2 actions on your turn and you have the standard actions of move, pick up an item, drop an item, move some more, as well as your specific class actions because you have 4 classes to choose from. And every time you enter a new area, you draw new tokens from a bag, and these can be items, these can be monsters, or these can be the seals that you need to collect to kill the Minotaur. So you have to explore the dungeon as much or as little as your bag drawing skill decides for you until you find those seals. And not the skeleton seals, the real seals, the magic seals, not those magic seals. I hate when I do that because then I have to find a picture and post, and it's, I have no respect for future Chris. None whatsoever. That seems like his problem when he's editing. Find me a picture of a magic seal to make that joke land home, you idiot. Stupid! Anyway, it's $30 US or $39 Canadian, which is not too bad. And shipping's actually really good too. They're saying they're working hard to keep shipping in that $7 to $9 area. It might get upwards of $15, but it's going to be a small box. So hopefully it ends up being in that $7 to $9 area. These small box games are making a comeback because the shipping is better. Anyway, if you are interested in that, that finishes May 18th at 1 p.m. over on GameFound. Now, next up, we have Kingdom Builder. Yes, it's another overpriced Kickstarter from Queen Games. I feel like I have a visceral dislike anytime I see a Queen Games campaign. Because I just know that it's going to be so overpriced for what it is. Likely you can get that same version for cheaper down the line. And also, I don't think they treat their backers properly or with any respect. And, well, sorry, this just in. Queen Games has canceled their sponsorship of the channel. Oh well. That being said, I'm still going to give it a chance because a lot of people like Kingdom Builder, and so why not put on a 10th anniversary edition of Kingdom Builder? I've never had anything bad to say about any game's 10th anniversary editions in the past couple weeks. I mean, it's pretty rude on my part. I'm sorry. It's like if it was a child's 10th birthday and I'm the equivalent of going up to them and reminding them that they'll never live up to their older brother, Game Stormer Sloan. But I have to say, this campaign page, it really suckered me in. Looking at it and saying, oh, you get the discount here to everything with MSRP. You're getting the base game for 50%. Everything's 50% off. Everything must go. I foolishly forgot about the stuff that I was saying just earlier and thought, hey, well, maybe this is a good deal then. I saw everything amounting to $135 US, which my foolish brain was just so caught up with the deals that I didn't actually add it up and think, oh yeah, that's still like quite a lot of money. I thought with this campaign page, I thought, wow, yeah, that's so many deals are given to me. It's from the designer of Dominion with some added bits. I wonder what the price point will be. Maybe about oh, they pulled the rug out from under me again. It's $249 US or $322 Canadian. And this is an enormous price point. And if you've never played Kingdom Builder, you don't need to enter Kingdom Builder at this price point. I mean, it looks like a fun game. I've seen it on trade sites and I haven't pulled the trigger for 30, so I'm certainly not pulling it now. I would pull the trigger now for 30, honestly, after having taken a look at the game. Because the goal is to have the most gold at the end of a certain number of rounds. You're going to build a unique map with 4 random map tiles. They're just combined together. And then you draw a terrain card and play that terrain card, and then get to place 3 houses on any of that terrain anywhere on the map. And you get placement bonuses depending on what it's next to, and you get gold for those sorts of things, and you can cascade your placement into other things while also trying to compete for the Kingdom Builder cards, which are basically what gets scored at the end of the game as well. And so this seems fun. I don't like that you only get 1 terrain card. It feels like it's going to skew a little bit on the random side, a little bit more on that lightweight side, which isn't bad. I think this would be a good gateway game because of that, because there aren't as many choices. You don't get overwhelmed with the map, and you can then blame it on, well, I didn't get the river card and you did, right? And I think it's fun to have the variability with all the different buildings and placements and things you can add to the board. But the minimum shipping is $32, and this is a gateway game, and it should not cost you almost $300 or $400 Canadian unless it's your favorite game of all time. If Kingdom Builder is your favorite game of all time, awesome. I hope you get this edition and you sell your other one and recoup some of that. And I hope you love it. I hope you love the different shapes of your buildings that are now unique. But for everybody else, I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it. However, if you are interested, check it out. That finishes May 18th at 4 p.m. Now, next up we have Dino Dodge. And Dino Dodge, this is also what led me to wanting to get the Crowdfunding Countdown master list, because I looked at it. I looked at it back in August 24th, in the August 24th to 31st episode. And I was just going to go back into my script and steal all my good jokes that I wrote back then and not tell anyone about it, not tell anyone to find it, and pretend that I was being so witty off the cuff. And it would be long enough in the past that you wouldn't really remember, but you would remember and you'd think it was kind of funny, maybe because I was repeating it. But I didn't say anything funny back then. I just had the bleak observation that there was a 1 in 1750 chance that asteroid Bennu is going to destroy the Earth in less than 300 years. 1 year for every dollar spent getting Kingdom Builder to your door. But hey, I got some good news. Now it's only a 1 in 1800 chance. So I guess there's nothing to worry about. Don't look up. That wasn't a good movie. Don't waste your time. Anyway, this seems like a pretty lightweight card game. If your kids are interested in dinosaurs, you may want to check it out. Otherwise, probably not. You're going to draw a meteor, you're going to put it over a land, and it's going to have a little countdown timer until it booms into the land, and you can play cards to move yourself, you can play cards to move the other people into the asteroids. And I really can't believe that I didn't comment back then on how the theme is just to be the last dinosaur standing, as if you don't know that you're going to be obliterated as well. The whole goal is just to be the last dinosaur, to inevitably be killed by an asteroid. Did you think if you sacrificed enough dinosaurs to the meteor gods that they'd let you live? No, that's not how it works. In fact, you're just making them into good fossils so they got a chance to crystallize better than you and be remembered for all eternity. Joke's on you, Dino Dodger. I do love that they've gone the way of the Chili Mafia with these sort of sliding scales. Although I would push it slightly more towards the luck side of things, probably.
Hey, you taking a crack at my weight, wise guy?
I didn't say anything about your weight, Pablo.
Then maybe you were talking about my fishes, huh? Well, I got some news
What
for you,
are you
wise guy.
even Oh, the scales. I did mention scales.
Yeah, you did. You'll be sleeping with the fishes soon if you don't wise
I
up.
gotta say, that's some pretty high class punnery you got there, Pop.
Hey, don't try to butter me up. I'm not a delicious piece of cod. I'm a chili.
I mean, fair enough. Anyway, it's $32 US. $40 Canadian with $8 to $10 in shipping. I mean, it was $25 US before. It's very possible it still could be $25 US, and then they're just making it more expensive to compensate for the incredible shipping costs to make you feel better that you're not paying that much in shipping, which, hey, I mean, it feels good. That's why you always calculate the total cost. I don't think this sort of lightweight game is worth it to me enough to pull the trigger, especially at that price point. But if you are interested, check it out. That finishes May 19th at 9 p.m. Next up, you've heard of Chinatown, Tiny Town, Little Town, Dice Town, Pie Town, Tussle Town, Downtown Cathy Town. But have you heard of the next Western sensation sweeping the nation? Of course, it's Fliptown, where you can only fire your gun in a duel if you're midway through a parkour stunt. Parkour, parkour! Now this is a flip and right, and I think this flip and right looks exactly as good as Welcome To. And I don't say that lightly. I like Welcome To. I think it's fun. I've only played the original, and I know lots of people like it a ton, and this gives me the same level of complexity and the same amount of decision-making I feel that Welcome To does as well. And so to get you falling out of your seats in FOMO anticipation, I have to reference the two together. Now on your turn, or everybody's turn, you're going to draw 3 cards. And these cards are from your standard deck of cards from ace to king in 4 suits. And each player is going to get to pick one of the cards as a suit value, which chooses where you can activate certain things. You choose the other card for its number value, which chooses the number in that category that you get to activate, and then your final card you get to use as part of your poker hand. And basically you play 3 rounds, so 15 turns, enough to get 3 poker hands of 5 cards in a poker hand, and then you add up the points to see who wins. The couple of things that I like and I think are unique from a flip and right, or at least I haven't seen them before, is that everybody gets their own unique character with their own unique character power, which I like a lot, although the effects only seem to really be once per game do this, so not completely exciting. Or game-changing. The other fun element is there's the sheriff that's dealt face down, and depending on what you do with your turns, you may accrue wanted points if you rob a bank or whatever. And then you'll flip the sheriff to see the sheriff's number, and if the sheriff's number is higher than your wanted level, you don't get arrested. But if your wanted level is higher than the sheriff, then you do get arrested and you get a penalty. So I like that there is this sort of built-in push your luck element to it as well. It looks fun. And I just recently played Dice Town for the first time, and I thought that one was a really light, fun, Western romp. Kind of like my ex-wife. No. And I know there's one more ex-wife coming over the course of this video. Who knows where it will be. Rule of 3s, right? I mean, at least according to Fliptown. There we go, brought it back. And this looks like a similar light, fun Western romp that would draw me into the flip and right genre. It's $5 for a print and play, and I love that this is a very viable option. Everybody has a deck of cards, so this feels like a lot of people could do this. Or for the main game, it's $25 US or $33 Canadian, plus $11 shipping or $15 to Canada. So it would be $50 to get to my door, and at $35, I probably would do it. At $25 at that price point, if I was in a store and saw it for that amount, yeah, I would consider picking it up. I really do think it looks good. It's just probably a little bit too expensive, as the old saying goes on Ruin Board, for what it is components-wise, and the print and play option would be better for if you're cheap like me. But if you are interested, check it out. That finishes May 20th at 8:01 a.m. Next up, we have the Age of Steam Deluxe reprint and all of their new expansion maps. And this is a game that's been around since 2002. It's ranked 126 on Board Game Geek. And oh no, I feel the pressure of everyone else's opinions weighing me down and propelling me to instantly buy this without knowing anything about it. All aboard the Age of Steam hype train. Woo woo! And it is good. In this Kickstarter, they offer you a chance to just get the base game the reprint of Age of Steam, which was reprinted in 2019. So that's $79 US or $102 Canadian, and that's not bad considering my stores sell it for $104 Canadian. They've also released 13 new maps, plus reprinted the other expansion maps that used to exist so that it's all in one package for everybody to get. And I mean, that's a pretty huge map pack for something that I think can now be considered a classic game. 20 years in the making. It's 20th anniversary. I don't know why they aren't framing it as the 20th anniversary, probably because it wasn't any good until its 3rd edition. But I do love on their campaign page, they specify which maps are for which player count. You can really see the difference of the value there, and you can also see the effect that the maps are going to have on the game. I don't think that much. The core gameplay experience is rich enough, you don't need all of these maps. Or it seems rich enough, at least. There are enough things going on there that there will be heavy variation in the games that you play, and it's not going to just matter what map you play. I think the impact on the game is probably similar to any of the additional maps in Castles of Burgundy. They're fun to have, not necessary. And the game is fairly simple, and yet not. Well, it goes on for a long time and has lots of different phases, so that's how you know it's good. And there are also a few interlinking parts and mechanics, but they all feel like they would be fun. At the beginning of a turn, you're going to be issuing shares from your railroad company and getting money for those shares and getting money for the railroads that you control. But you have to thread that needle because all the shares that you issue will give you money now, but it'll make you lose points later. And then using that money, you'll bid on the first player. But what's neat about this auction mechanic is when you pass, that determines your player order. So if I pass first, then I will be last player. And I think that's significant because then everybody picks an action. And these actions give you like a special power to do during the next few phases where you're going to build tracks and you're going to try to complete your own existing tracks or at least build onto them so that they still are yours and somebody can't sweep in and finish them and claim that whole track for themselves. And then you're going to use the railroads to transport goods to show, hey, look, everybody wants to transport goods between these towns. Good thing we have got a railroad there, and everybody will love your railroad, and you'll be the best railroad baron in the entire world. And that's the basic structure. It's like Ticket to Ride meets Carcassonne meets an economic shareholding pick up and deliver auction game. I really have to do that mechanics video series. And this looks like it would be right up my alley, to be honest. I like economic games. I like the stuff that's going on. All of the phases feel like they would be fun. And that's important with a game which has all these different elements to it. It is, however, $18 shipping to the US, $24 to Canada, and so therefore still cheaper to wait until my local store gets it themselves, or I see a 3rd edition on sale that someone's getting rid of now that they have the better deluxe copy. But if you are interested in that, check it out. That finishes May 20th at 11 a.m. Now, next up, we have a game called Glitch Squad, and fans of Decrypto should take note of this game. This is another word party game where you're trying to guess your passwords before the other team can guess theirs. And so on your turn, you'll get a clue and you'll write 3 words pertaining to that clue, and then you'll pass it to your team thinking, oh, they're gonna get this word, no problem. This is just an easier version of just one until, uh-oh, you're intercepted because you didn't have enough cybersecurity to deal with Glitch the cat biting your mouse. I guess you're both Glitch the cats. Don't think about the theme too much. It doesn't matter. And the other team will get a chance to intercept and erase one of your clues and include their own. They'll write down all 3 of the clues so that it isn't obvious based on the handwriting. And so if your team still guesses the word, they get a point. And you get to move your password, revealing 1 more letter of each password. And the more letters you reveal, the easier it will be to guess all of your passwords. But if your team doesn't get it, then the other team gets a point and gets to do the same thing. This is $25 US, $32 Canadian, and that feels about right for these sorts of games. I mean, I'd want it to be 20, which also feels about right. But there's a print and play for $3 US, so cheap, and you'd basically be printing out the clue cards and the password cards. That's it. This one also does have great shipping, $6 shipping to the US, $12 to Canada, so great shipping to the US. And it looks cute. It does look cute. My main worry with this one is that it would be way too frustrating and the glitching could just derail everyone all the time and it wouldn't be that fun. But maybe once you get the hang of it, it might be interesting. I don't know, this one was fun. I think it's a neat concept. I think if you really love Decrypto and those sorts of things, then definitely check it out. That finishes May 20th at 7 p.m. Now next up, we have Broken and Beautiful. Kinda like my ex. No, that's just mean to my fictional ex-wife. That can't be our third zinger. Anyway, this is a game about the art of kintsugi, which is putting back together something that has been broken to make it even more beautiful by emphasizing its flaws and scars. And that statement is beautiful. That idea is beautiful. And I take it back. I would like to be like Watsky's song Sloppy Seconds, which I would play right now, but I don't want to keep worrying about those copyright restrictions that keep on getting flagged on my videos and making me re-upload everything. Broken and Beautiful is like my fictional ex-wife. And it's like me as well. I hope you forget all the things that I said earlier, because I want you back. I do.
Excuse me?
Oh, no. I was just saying it for the bit. Oh. She doesn't even exist. My ex-wife, Maggie, is real. But this game looks great. It does. It's our shortest rulebook of the week. Maybe that's why I love it. No, it's a snake draft with set collection. And so the person who gets to go first also ends up going last. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're going to be taking cards from the middle, and these will be pottery cards. But the card that is left in the middle will be a certain type of pottery, and all of that pottery in everybody's hands will break. And if you have broken pottery at the end of the game, it's not worth anything. But instead, when you're drafting a card, you can not put that in your display. You can sell it for gold, and then you can use that gold to reform anything that's broken and make it worth more points. And this one is $16 US for the base version. It's $30 US for a deluxe version, which gives you metal ingots and a metal first player token instead of the basic wooden cubes. And it's $8 to $10 shipping to the US, or $14 to $16 shipping to Canada. So it's like $40 Canadian to get to my door. And when I was looking at this campaign, I hadn't yet looked at the price. I always say, what price do you think this is, and what price would it have to be for it to be a great deal to want you to consider backing it? And I thought it would be $25 US, and I said for a great deal, it would have to be $15 US. And of course it's 16. But I want to pull the trigger here, legitimately. I think it looks elegant. I love the theme. I love their approach to stretch goals. They're asking the community, they're voting on the stretch goals that they want to have with the extra money. And yes, everybody is voting for component upgrades and not box embossing, which is great. And so with something like this, I know it's gonna be 14 to 16 Canadian for shipping, and so that doubles the price. But I have to think, if this was $20 US with $10 shipping, or if it was $25 US with free shipping to the US and $5 shipping to Canada, I would probably be very, very high on this. So I've got to think about this one a lot, but I'm very interested, and I may or may not be starting a group buy on Board Game Geek. If you're in Toronto and want to get in on it and cut down the shipping, check that one out. Or check out the campaign that finishes May 20th at 7 p.m., the same as Glitch Squad. I hope someone gets to talk about that in their pick for themselves later on in the episode a little bit more. Maybe, or maybe something will usurp it. It might be close. And with that, have an ad break. Anyway, next up we have a game that clearly stole its title from my nickname in high school, and that is Dumpster Fire Party, where you get to compete over how horrible your life is. You draw a card, you get a prompt, and then you get to tell a story of your life. Kind of like this, as an example. Let me see, what's this card say? Bad purchases. Okay, I've got a good one. Well, this one time, I spent $40 US, $52 Canadian, with $18 shipping to Canada. So I spent $75 Canadian. I can't believe I spent my money on this to get this dumb magnetic dumpster fire and a bunch of cards that just had like one word on it. And I mean, it was like, okay, it was framed as this really funny card game, but it wasn't even that. These people, they convinced me with their outrageous antics that I too could be outrageous, and the laughs I could share with my group would be endless, that I would have some fun stories to tell, that a game of one-upsmanship, telling stories to really get to know each other, that you wouldn't have told these stories to the people that you like hanging out with already, because you like hang out with them and you kind of know them, would be a good game. So I thought, why not relive these horrible experiences that I'd rather forget, instead of doing something actually fun? I hate this game. Telling these stories isn't a game. It is also annoying to be in a conversation where people are trying to one-up your bad experiences and not give credence to your bad experiences, or even listen to your bad experiences because they're thinking of their own bad experiences that they could tell, which will beat yours. And if it's truly an outrageous story, you've already told it to your group. So the deadline for this one is, I'm not telling you. There's no deadline. You missed it. And I can't believe that this has raised over $250,000 Canadian, which maybe makes me realize that this game is apt and the world is a dumpster fire. Officially is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, convincing people to spend $75 to have conversations that could have been held for free with no real game value whatsoever. And if it wasn't for the title and the fact that I wanted to make that joke and the amount raised, we wouldn't be talking about it right now. I can't. I'm going to be telling a story about how every single subscriber of my YouTube went out and purchased it as a joke and then sent me pictures of it. Please don't do that. Oh, please. Please don't. Let's move on. Next. Now, next up we have Battlecrest, and whose Kickstarter video, thankfully, is a much better sequel to its original version. This one, obviously, is 2 heroes, 1 map. Anyway, there's going to be 6 map cards out there, and then 6 cards for every character, and you can move your character around the map. You can activate one of your own cards, you can activate one of your own cards to trigger your own Battlecrest ability, or you can refresh your cards. And again, you get to do 2 actions on your turn. That's it! Maneuver around the map. Make your opponent dead. If you like small card games, hey, this one's only $12 US. And shipping's pretty good to the UK and the US, $5. Shipping to Canada is $24, how dare you? That is incredibly rude. Okay, fine, it's actually $14, but if you buy more than 3 games, or if you buy 3 games and 3 expansion packs, because you can get expansion packs with extra characters, then yeah, it's $24 in shipping. Because, I mean, in fairness, it weighs a lot. There's a lot of boxes that will be shipped to you, probably more than Massive Darkness. Anyway, if you are interested in checking that one out, yeah, it looks fun. Those sort of wallet games, it takes a lot for me to get on board, although the Barnyard one was my pick of the week a while ago, so I guess it doesn't take that much, but I'm not going to be the type of person who collects like a huge stack of them. But it seems, you know, average. And that one finishes May 21st at 10:30 a.m. Now, next up we have the board game Mosaic calendar. And this is the type of campaign which, I'm sorry to tell you can't be a real board gamer until you get one of these. That's the truth. It's $22 Canadian or $17 US, and shipping is not great. It's expensive. It's almost the price of the calendar. It's like $15 Canadian or $11 US to get it to me. And this is by a woman, Katya. She does a lot of stuff over at Board Game Revolution as well. And she notes that she has been eating the cost for a long time and it just doesn't make any sense to do it anymore. And I get it. That's completely reasonable. This is a calendar with board game mosaics made out of little board game pieces all about a specific game. They're really cool. I really like the art that she does. I think she's only gotten better the more and more she's done it. This is something that I want. I really do want this. I think it would be a fun thing to have in your house. I think the cost, I don't know, I'm not in the calendar business, so I don't know the cost, but it seems fairly average for a calendar. And there's local pickup in Cambridge, which is on my way as I drive home to visit my parents. So I feel like I could opt for local pickup and grab it at some point in time, as long as there's not a time limit on local pickup. So this is one that I'm definitely contemplating. I feel like last year she might have done something where she took a trip into Toronto one day and you could pick that up then, which would be fantastic. And I think a lot of people would pull the trigger on that for just one trip into Toronto. So check this one out. It's a fun thing to have. If you are entrenched in this hobby and you have space on the wall for a calendar and you use calendars, like make sure you actually use it, then that finishes next Monday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. Now, next up we have Zerywia, or Zerywia, if you're nasty. And this is a cooperative scenario-driven game where you play a hero with 3 basic stats of Vigor, Instinct, and Will. Vigor, Instinct, Will, like the actor. I knew there was no good way of making that a joke, and yet you said it anyway. But yeah, the feeling of this is very similar to the feeling of every co-op scenario-driven game, with some differences. One being you have to manage how much taint you have, because every time your character gets touched by some taint, which they obviously didn't want to be touched by the taint, they then obviously become closer into turning into their dread form. And if a character ever has 3 taints touching them, well, these taints do what taints do best. Block out your statistics. Just really get in the way of everything that you're trying to do down there on the board. But saying the word taint like a child for 107 minutes aside, I really do like that there are these active things that hinder you and they cover up your stats on your board. It kind of reminds me of the system in The Others. And the idea that you could turn into this shadow form, and that this shadow form actually isn't a good thing, because a lot of games, that's something you are striving for because you get more powerful as you do it. The basic loop of the game is you're going to choose a region, you're going to move to it, and you're going to explore it, drawing a card and triggering an event that you have to overcome. And then if you do, you get these little journey tokens for the specific type of region that you're on, and you can use those journey tokens to buff up your character and give them a more illustrious name with these saga cards that you put under your character, and they give them stats, but some of the sagas can be cursed, whatever. But what I do like is you get 4 actions every round, and each action corresponds with the time of the day. And there are supposedly implications in the events depending on the time of day that you take these things or attempt these actions. And I think that's cool. I think that's a cool twist. That's the sort of unique element that jumps out to me. And then the monsters will act, and then you do it all over again until you complete the scenario or you die. There's a lot of lore here, which makes the rulebook a little bit tough to get through, although it is laid out fairly well. There's just a lot to get through. But there's also a lot of concepts that you have to learn as you go through it, but they use the stupid lore terms, so it's a little bit harder to digest than it might be in other cases. And they're also offering this, I had to pause for like 10 seconds because I couldn't think about how to actually say it, Zerywia Quest, which is a smaller version. It's for 1 to 2 players. It adds 1 to 2 characters. You can add it into your main game. It's a standalone expansion. But this is £49, and the regular game, which plays 1 to 4, is £59. So 78 Canadian versus 94 Canadian. With that difference, I don't see why there's any reason why you should ever get that standalone expansion. And the fact that it's got a standalone expansion which gives you all the dice and stuff that you're not going to need if you have the base game. It's a tricky thing to navigate, but I'm sure for production costs and logistics and not splitting it into too many things, that makes sense. But one really great campaign thing that I just want to talk about is that their all-in pledge, which is an outrageous £269 or $426 Canadian, in that they have specified that you also eternally get for free the early bird, which is just a little figure. And I wish more campaigns would do this. I understand the concept of early birds. I understand that early birds drive traffic and create buzz about your game. But then when someone is spending an enormous amount of money, you can't throw them the early bird as well just because they came to it late. I think you should. And I think this is exactly the right call. And I think this is something that more campaigns should do, because more backers are gonna do it. I feel like you'll get people on board going, oh yeah, and I get the early bird? Well, of course I'm going to spend $100 extra when I could have bought it for $5 because I get it for free. So just from like a strategic marketing standpoint, there's some free advice. I think Zerywia is right on the money in that. Now shipping is £15 to the EU. 25 to 30 pounds to anywhere else, which that's like $45 Canadian in shipping. Or again, call up your Polish grandmother and get it for £4 instead. I guess that decides it. Best grandmothers to have. Polish, last week was German, and of course my grandmother. You made the top 3, Grandma! She's not watching. Anyway, if you are interested in that, that finishes next Tuesday, May 24th at 10:17 a.m. So you have a long time to decide. Now, next up we have Spirit Duels, which contains my favorite tagline of all time, in that it says, "This is a non-collectible competitive card game of evolving creatures in tactical combat." Who cares about the last part? I love that they're emphasizing that it is non-collectible. That makes me so happy because I hate collectible card games because you get sucked into them so much. And with the evolving part, well, hey, this is more Pokemon the game than Casting Shadows ever could hope to be. And they said it couldn't be done. Anyway, the theme of the game is, as a spirit caster, you're going to lead a team of 3 spirits against a rival spirit caster. 3 versus 3 Pokemon battle. And you win if you defeat all of your opponent's spirits, or they have to draw a card and they can't. And this is the type of game where you will construct a deck based upon the types of spirits that you draft. You get to draft the elements basically that you're going to play. So you get fire and I'd get electric. That's what they recommend for their first game. And then you're going to be collecting essence and using that essence to trigger abilities from your hand or from your spirits, or evolving the spirits into a better version. But you have to time that out so that you don't get pummeled after you go into your little cocoon and emerge victorious. This is $49 US because it's got a bunch of dice in it. Your characters will each give you a different combination of dice to roll, and then you'll use those points to do different things, whether it's attack, heal, do nothing, get essence, that sort of thing. And it just feels like too high a price point for what it is. I think it legitimately looks better than Casting Shadows. I am more interested in this game than I am Casting Shadows. I know a couple people had mentioned in the Casting Shadows videos, hey, what do you think about Spirit Duels? And I was like, great, I guess I'm going to be getting to that soon. Yeah, I think it is legitimately a more exciting game than Casting Shadows because you have that draft element and you have dice rolling, which a lot of people like, and it still seems like it is in that simple bar, but I see the comparisons and I see that they are around the same weight, and Casting Shadows is cheaper. And because they are in that lightweight category, I feel I would go towards the Casting Shadows route, even though I think this might be a better gameplay. I think they're probably close enough, and Casting Shadows is $20 US cheaper for that base pledge. Unless you're getting the Kickstarter expansion, then it's the same price. Then I'd probably opt for this one, right? If you were willing to spend that much. But yeah, lightweight, 2-player, head-to-head card game. So it's just like Pokemon. There, that's better. That's kind of the quote. Anyway, if you're interested in that, that's again next Tuesday, May 24th at 11:06 a.m. And finally, ending us off this week, we have Cytress. And I covered Cytress in a review. If you are interested in Cytress and you're wondering what my thoughts were about it, well, hey, I'm on the campaign page. You got no excuse. You should know what I think about it right now. And I quite enjoyed Cytress. To give you a rundown, if you didn't watch that full review, you're in a dystopian future and you're in the slums. And the only way to get out of the slums and win is to take control over certain parts of the slums and then use your control of that area to build tubes to send you up to the city of Cytress, the city in the sky, the stratosphere where the Stratos live and rule over society. And so you're going to be collecting resources through, you know, doing odd jobs for these 4 different factions, and there's 4 different resources, and you're going to be collecting these resources and spending them on building these tubes and sending your people up so that they can gain influence up top. But, and a huge part of the game, is you also need to maintain control of the tubes with controlling the area around it. So it doesn't only matter the amount of people you send up, it also matters the amount of people that you leave on the ground. And this was one of the reasons I think it's a very interesting game and a fun area control puzzle, and one of the reasons I didn't like it as much because I felt like there was too many points on the ground than sending people up to the sky. But that's just the game, that's just what you have to know. But yeah, this one was fun. I quite enjoyed this one a lot. It's $59 US or $71 Canadian, and that's about the price point that I expected it to be. It's not the price point I wanted it to be, but it's what I expected it to be. And it makes sense as a price point for what you get, especially it being a first-time creator and smaller print runs. But after the shipping, it makes it like $100 Canadian to get it to my door. So for me personally, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on it because I would spend $50 to $60 on it, but I don't need it for $100. It has to be very special for me to spend $100 on something. But for those of you who are interested and who do get it, I think you will have a really good time, and I think it will provide you pretty much what it says it's going to do. Just be aware those 2 elements are very important and have a lot of play and will be the main sort of focus of the game. They also, on the campaign page, have a bunch of narrative stuff on offer, and this is really cool. They've fleshed out the world, they've got a bunch of books of different stories and how the world is taking place, and there's a lot of lore in this game. And I think I read somewhere on the campaign, I might be mistaken, but I read somewhere that it was initially maybe going to be an RPG, and so that's why there's so much lore and backstory. And so if you love that sort of stuff in your games, it has everything there that could tickle your fancy. For me, I play the game and I don't want to read a book about it. I'd rather read a book and then play the game and have those as be 2 separate instances, but that is there for people who want it, and there is a ton of lore there as well. So anyway, if you are interested in that, check it out. That is May 24th at 7 p.m. And that's it. That is it for the week. We made it through the week. Hopefully my microphone was okay and there wasn't too much background noise. I feel like my other microphone system, it gave me a lot of feedback problems, but it also didn't have as much background noise. So we'll see how it happens. Let me know if you noticed any significant difference. I used to have a lav mic and now I have a shotgun mic up here. But that's not what this segment is about. That should be in the wrap-up portion. This segment is about the pick for me and the pick for you, because every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the one that I am the most personally interested in spending my money on this week, and the pick for you being the one that I think you should buy, and just leave me alone. I gave you your fix. Get out of here. Yeah, the one that I think will have the most mass appeal, or I think is just a good game that I am probably not purchasing, or might be purchasing for whatever reason, but I think it's a fun one that I just want to highlight. And so this week, the pick for me is quite tough, and it's legitimately tough because I legitimately think I might be backing two things this week. I might not get the calendar just because I don't know where I'm going to hang it, but I could really use a calendar to write things on because I've been juggling a lot of stuff and scheduling lately. So the calendar is the runner-up, but the pick for me is Broken and Beautiful. I have already started a group pledge on Board Game Geek. If you live in Toronto and you want to get in on it and we can save some shipping together, hey, let me know. We already have 3 people. And what's cool is it can be a combo of deluxe or base pledge, which I think is great and also indicates to me that, yeah, it's just being all packed in one box of 5. So I'm trying to get a group of 5. Maybe there'll be additional savings after that, but Broken and Beautiful just looks solid. If it were $10 more, I would not get it. I wouldn't. I don't think it would be worth that much. Honestly, if I'm paying $40 Canadian, that is way too much for it. After the shipping to get it to my house, I like it enough that I think I'm willing to pay even that amount. I think after the shipping discounts, it should get to me for around $25 Canadian, which again, it's a decent price point, but I just did a whole bracket deathmatch tournament of games that are at least $5 cheaper than that, which I also am interested in trying, that I could just go out and get now instead of waiting potentially a year to get this other game. But it just looks good. I really love the theme. I love the pitch. I think it's going to be simple, and I think the way you add your points together will hopefully make it dense. I am worried that the drafting will devolve into, oh, that one's worth a lot of money. Okay, I'm going to turn it into gold immediately, and people just hoard gold. But I'm hopeful that the flow of the game will break that strategy. That is my concern, and it is a concern getting something like this, that the replayability won't be there and it won't be that satisfying, but I want to hope. I think the concept looks cool. I think the decisions are easy and yet could be a little bit denser than people might expect, and I'd like that simple drafting game. I just think it looks good, and I think we're going to get a group buy, so that helps take the weight of the shipping off a lot of people as well, and makes it a lot more palatable to go down. When I was converting it, I thought, man, $40 Canadian is too much for this game. It really is. But I still wanted it. Maybe I just wanted to treat myself, maybe because I knew that there was the potential for the shipping to go down. But I think that's the feeling you want whenever you're backing a game. You want that thing to have drawn you in. You want to be happy with your purchase, because there are so many games out there and so many I could buy, and yet I am quite content with my decision to move forward with this and support this company, because this is the type of game that may not make it to retail, and I think it is unique and cool enough that I would like having it in my collection, or at least try it and then make a scathing review about it, saying, I was wrong. This is why you don't love things. They'll end up like Ankh. So yeah, that's my pick for me, Broken and Beautiful, aka the subtitle for Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Anyway, moving along to my pick for you. Pick for you is going to be Fliptown. I think Fliptown looks fun. I think Welcome To is a fun game, and it gives me those vibes, like I said. And yet in the Western theme, I think I like light Western themes. Maybe if I dove into Western Legends or Bantam West, I would probably enjoy those as well. But the idea of having a Western theme and just it being a light game, I think, yeah, that's what I'm going with. Fliptown, it looks really solid. It's by the designer of Sprawlopolis, if you like that. That got a lot of buzz in our solo bracket. And this was originally designed as a solo game as well, and then it has been extended to a multiplayer game, and I'm really happy it was extended to a multiplayer game, because I think that's the reason why I'm recommending it. That's the reason why I'm interested in putting it forward. But it does have those sort of solo components as well, and bots to face if you are a solo-only player. And yeah, this one, I think it's a very simple concept, but I think the way it is implemented and the choices you get to make won't be obvious and will be somewhat elegant. I hope everyone who gets it enjoys it. It's too much for it to get to my door. I think it was $50 Canadian to get to my door. And again, this is one where if it was 35 or 30 to get to my door, I don't play that many roll and writes, so maybe. 20 to get to my door, just keep lowering it. If it was $1 to get to my door, then yes, of course I would take it and play it. But yeah, that's my pick for you. Official pick for you is Fliptown. I think it's a nice price point for what it is, even though I said it wasn't nice because it's expensive to get it to Canada. But hopefully it's a nice price point for you and it looks fun. So that's it. That's it for the week. Officially over. Thank you so much for being here. I don't really have anything else to say. Let me know what you are excited for if you backed anything this week. This week actually surprised me with a number of solid picks. I always like hearing from you and hearing about what's upcoming. It's great. I love hearing your enthusiasm as well. Or just drop a comment for the algorithm. That helps too. If you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. My name's Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase, but I really need to screenshot all of those catchphrases and start using them, because there are some very good ones. It's gonna happen soon when I get just one spare minute to do it. Or I don't forget before starting to film. Thanks so much for being here, and bye!